What's going on, everybody? I am checking my stuff here to make sure that I sound okay, at least halfway decent. I don't even know if I'm online right now. I hope I am. There's that. So let's see if that catches up. Okay, cool. I guess we're working. We're working here. We're doing a little bit of something. Okay. So as you can tell, a little bit different in the background. I am in Salt Lake City, Utah. Right now, I am going to be going to a Utah Jazz Detroit Pistons game a little bit later on today. Why, might you ask? Well, I'm trying to work on some stuff with the Utah Jazz, so don't judge me. I still have a little bit of a cough. It was cold here yesterday. It was very, very cold here yesterday. And I'm just trying to get my body regulated and used to all of the different things. I know it's a little bit of a different look. Didn't even have the intro video. So I've got to talk about my friends over at W Energy. Now, yesterday, I drove 14 hours to get from El Paso, Texas, all the way up to Salt Lake City, Utah. In that 14-hour drive, I would not have been able to make it without my friends over at W Energy. Put in the powder into the shaker, drove all the way over here, finished it in about an hour or so. By the time I left El Paso, out of El Paso, I was done with my entire bottle of W Energy. Normally on long road trips, you tend to get tired. You tend to, start dozing off, things like that. I had energy the entire way, thanks to my friends over at W Energy. Check them out, w.gg. Use promo code Tipton Sports. Save on your W Energy. The best part about that, guys, is that it doesn't have any of the jitters. It doesn't have any of the weird aftertaste. Like, I'm not a big fan of like Monsters and stuff like that. It's natural energy that you get to use. And once again, it got me all the way from El Paso, all the way over to here to Utah. So it worked, and it worked phenomenally. Now, I'm going to need y'all's help, because obviously I don't have my spaceship here to keep me in check, to make sure things are working the way they do, to make sure things sound good. I don't even have my headsets in. So I don't even know if I sound good right now. My guy Tommy Carranza saying, good morning, Kip. Good morning to you, Tommy. You'll be the guy to let me know. I'm using this microphone right here. So if I need to move it, please let me know. I don't know if it's too loud, if it's too sensitive, what any of that is. I also know I have a weird voice. And you probably picked up all that. Tommy's saying the audio is a little shaky. Okay, so let's move this over just a little bit. Maybe we put it back here. We'll use it more as like a boom mic. It doesn't need to be up on my face. I can see right now, maybe the levels are a little different. It's not going to be as good as it normally is, just because I'm not in my studio today, right? Like, I got my laptop, I'm doing my thing. Trying, guys, I'm trying. I do want to give a shout out, though, to Salt Lake City. Man, I don't know what to expect whenever I go to different cities and towns and stuff like that. It's a capital, right? Like, it's a huge city, right? Like, it really is. It's genuinely a lot larger than I thought. Well, I don't know what I was expecting, right? Tommy's saying there's a little bit of an echo. Yeah, I think that's just the room. That goes to show y'all the amount of investment I put into my office at home to be able to get rid of all the echo, to be able to get rid of all of the stuff, because I know, and I'm trying my best. I know that my voice, just with all the bass and everything that it has in it, reverberates all over the place. So it's hard for me to like I'm in this hotel. I don't even know if there's people on the other side. I don't know if there's people behind me. So I'm trying not to be super loud and just doing my thing. And I sit back and I think to myself, man, put a lot of money into that studio at home. Like the sound deadening panels, all that stuff. That's how seriously I took this show, guys. Well, you guys see the microphone and all that. Even this, right? I want to be doing something a little later with this, I think. I think these ones are better suited for if you talk like this directly into the microphone. So that way you don't have to worry about the echo. But I'm not too sure if there's an echo because I have to do a little bit of things to the settings. Maybe we just do an ASMR show the entire time. I can just do like those people on TikTok and just be like, that feels creepy. You know what it takes to creep yourself out? I was able to do it right there. That's actually better. Holy shit. You're messing with me. Again, like I don't have my headphones in, so like I don't know. I haven't really used these microphones. A whole bunch. But if you say it's better, then I'm going to say it's better, and I'm going to agree with you on that. Okay, so at least this way, I don't have to, I guess, strain my voice, right? Like it's, again, it's going to be a little bit of a different show, guys, but we're just going to do it this way. Tommy, you're saying seriously? I want to believe you on that. Tommy, I know you're not going to like where I'm going to start right now because the Lakers are 7-2 ever since the Luka Joined trade. And the funny thing about that is everyone wants to talk about like, oh man, like they're super hot right now. They're a great defensive team. They're this, they're that, blah, 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 blah. They have a motivated Luka Joined right now. And this motivated Luka Joined is just on a different level. It's just on a different level. I know, Tommy, I feel so bad because you were like, you're helping me here. You're helping me get through the audio and stuff like that. It's not like peaking or anything, is it? It's not like popping or anything like that. Doesn't like I'm going to have to go back and listen to the show. Or maybe I can do this. Let's see. Let me see. I normally monitor the show on all the different things. The one thing I will say, don't think anyone wanted to hear that. The one thing that I will say, for being a capital city, Salt Lake City, let's get the phone connection, or T-Mobile, like whoever, let's get the phone and internet connection to be a little bit better here. I was walking around downtown, and there's not like huge buildings here. Like it's not like New York, right? I'm walking around downtown, and I can't get a signal, like at all. At all. I just couldn't do it. So we've got to work on better signal there. T-Mobile, whenever people are in, the good people of Salt Lake City deserve better. But the Lakers are 7-2 since acquiring Luka Joined, and they are firmly in the 4 or 5 seed spot, right? Like that's where they're going to be. And I love the fact that everyone is like, oh, this is going to be a championship contending team. This is going to be a team that's going to just dominate, and they're going to be this, and they're going to be that, and they're going to be blah, 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 blah. The fact of the matter is they're not. The Lakers are going to get an easy opponent, whether it's the Clippers. We saw the way they handled the Clippers yesterday. Despite the fact they tried to give that game up, the Clippers just aren't a great team. The fact of the matter is that they'll get a team like the Clippers. They'll get a team like Memphis. They'll win their first round matchup. And then when it comes to the second round, they will get obliterated because they will be the lowest remaining team. They will be obliterated by Oklahoma City. The Oklahoma City Thunder, to me, are the best team in the NBA right now. If you haven't been watching the NBA, do yourself a favor, start watching some of the games with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like, they are legitimately the best team in the NBA right now. Not just record-wise, but all-encompassing. They are the best team in the NBA right now. I'm getting a ton of messages right now. I gotta make sure I'm sounding good. Super paranoid about this stuff, guys. Okay, well, to my standard, it doesn't meet. And yes, it bothers me a lot, but you know what? I wasn't going to bring in. I thought about this yesterday, right? Because I have my camera, I have the tripod, I have the microphones, I've got all the other stuff that I've got. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, as I'm walking this equipment in a box like this, just cameras, tripod, a couple of other things, getting a camera set up. I can only imagine because the hotel room is set up to where other people can kind of look in. It's weird, but it's a nice hotel. It's a very nice hotel. If someone looked in and saw me setting up cameras, what they would have thought was going to happen here, especially in this city, in Salt Lake City. Tommy Canazza saying, I'm not going to hate on Luka. The Lakers are hot right now, but I don't see them as a legitimate threat in the West. And they're not. Like, they're genuinely not. I think they're a fun story, right? They're going to be in the headlines. Luka and LeBron taking over LA, just having themselves a good old time. But they are not a championship contending team. And I think the sample size that we have, they probably called the cops on me. That explains the knocking on the door yesterday. I thought it was a dream. But that's what I'm saying, man. Like, I was walking around downtown and I was like, can I do a show here? Can I do a show here? How would I be able to do this stuff? And I was like, you know what? F it, just going to do it in the hotel room. Was going to have Danny do the show for me because I trust Danny to be able to do the show. I was like, you know what? I just want to do a show. Like the long drive yesterday, this is the reward, you know, for all the hard work and stuff like that. So I was like, I've got to be able to do a show tomorrow. And as I'm bringing in the cameras and stuff, I was so happy that there was nobody there to watch me, because to see some dude walking with a backpack, which you know has a bunch of equipment in it, with a tripod and a box full of cameras, you got to think to yourself, what the hell is going on here? He just nonchalant goes into the elevator, goes up to the 4th floor, walks into his room, gets all the stuff set up. And I mean, like, I even have this one, right? Because I was like, maybe I can use like a 2-camera setup. Maybe I can do something else. I was going to set it up and like hang out over there on the couch. Huh. I was thinking maybe I can do that. Maybe I can still do that. Let's get comfortable. Let's get weird. You guys aren't going to see me for a little bit. I'm going to turn the camera around. And then I'm going to turn my laptop around. Let's see. We'll do it like that. We're going to do one of those old school interview settings where it's like, oh, hi, everybody. How are you doing today? Just going to hang out over here. Let's go to YouTube so I can monitor the comment section. This is one of the dumbest things I think I've ever done. Oh, and the camera's crooked, damn it. I'm not going to do the show from there. I just wanted to mess around. This is a really nice hotel room, though. I will say that. Bet you I'm going to have to like readjust a bunch of stuff, but oh well. We'll see. We'll see. We're just hanging out. That is way too zoomed in on me. Nobody needs to see me like that. Tommy, I'm glad you got it. I am so glad you got it. I just need to sit there like this. You see, the reason... Not going to get into that. Not going to get into that today. That's not what I get paid to do. But Tommy, I'm glad you got it. I'm glad you got it. The LA Lakers, though, not a legitimate contender, at least not to me. I know we've had a small sample size. They've been a pretty decent defensive team. That's not going to hold up. They've played cupcakes. They've played bad teams. The team they played yesterday, the LA Clippers, not a good team. Not a team that any one of us would sit back and say, oh, yeah, I trust that team. That's going to be a great team, the LA Clippers. No, none of us think that. None of us would ever think that right now, as they're currently constituted, that the Clippers are going to be a team that's going to contend for a championship. They've beaten teams like the Hornets. They've beaten teams like the Jazz. They've beaten just bad teams. That's what they've done all this whole little stretch. Like the schedule lined up for them so perfectly that they were able to take advantage of it. And obviously that's what you got to do, right? Like you got to win the games on your schedule. It's just this part of their schedule is super easy for them to do. What happens when they take on Denver? What happens when they take on Oklahoma City? Right? Like that is the cream of the crop when it comes to the NBA. What happens when they have to take on a Boston team? Whenever they have to take on the Milwaukee Bucks? Whenever they have to take on a team that has size? Because that's what the Lakers don't have right now. It's like, sure, you got Luka and you got LeBron. They're basically the same dude. Luka just not as athletic as LeBron. It took an otherworldly effort from the Lakers yesterday to squeak past the LA Clippers, who we've already established not a good team. James Harden and Kawhi Leonard maybe 5-6 years ago, that would have been a threat. Now it's just man. And you can see Luka, somehow, some way, that breadbasket of basketball is able to run past Kawhi Leonard. That shows you just how Kawhi Leonard has fallen off as one of the best defensive players in the NBA whenever he can't even stay in front of Luka Doncic. And I mean, it's like coming down the court, and Luka is faster than Kawhi Leonard. It shows you that Kawhi Leonard isn't the same Kawhi Leonard that we got used to in San Antonio, that we had for that season in Toronto. He's just not that guy anymore. And Tommy talking about this too. The schedule for the Lakers is soft. There's a possibility the Lakers move up, right? I would have loved to have seen, and again, like obviously I don't get to control this stuff, but I would have loved to have seen the Lakers in the way that they'd be able to handle a healthy San Antonio Spurs team, because I don't think they'd be able to do it. They can't beat Denver, at least not in a 7-game series. You might get a one-off where they beat Denver. They're not going to be able to beat Oklahoma City, and I don't even think in a one-off. Like, I just think Oklahoma City is so much better than they are. It's just, if you're buying stock in the Lakers right now, don't do it. They're not worth anything, at least not in my mind. Not at this moment. The LA Lakers are not worth a damn thing when it comes to, am I going to bet on this team to hopefully win a championship at the end of the season? And the fact of the matter is they're not going to. It's just not going to happen for the LA Lakers. I did want to talk about the NFL Combine. And y'all have heard me say it a few times. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the Combine. Doesn't really do much in terms, for me at least, like as someone that loves football, right? Like, I know the drills they do in the Combine don't necessarily translate to how athletic you are, how gifted you are in pads in the NFL, actually doing that thing. Once again, being a big, meaty man slapping meat against other men, right? And I get why players like Shedeur Sanders decide, like, look, I'm not going to do this thing. It's a silly, stupid game. I'm not going to do this. Like, let me go do something else. I understand whenever players do that. And I feel like we're going to start seeing. Good morning, Gary. Again, I apologize for the setup. I apologize for the sound. I'm in a hotel room right now in Salt Lake City. And I will say this, a very nice hotel, an extremely nice hotel here in Salt Lake City. I'm worried about not being too loud, because normally whenever I do the show, I'm the only one at home. I'm in my home studio. I can just do whatever the hell I want. Here I'm in a hotel, and I think that there's somebody on the other side of the hotel from me. Like, there's a bedroom, like an actual bedroom, like a full-on bedroom on the other side of this wall. But I also know my voice, and I just feel bad for people walking down the hallway if they have to hear this. I can only imagine what atrocities they must think is happening in this hotel room. But I feel like we're going to start having more and more issues of players deciding that they're not going to do NFL Combine stuff. And if you don't know what I'm talking about this. That right there, friends, is the ankle of Texas tight end. I have his name in my head. I can't think of his name right now. Gunnar Helm. I know, Gary. I'm sorry. I know. I don't have my good microphone with me. I apologize. Just stick with me. Gunnar was having himself a time at the NFL Combine. He did this to his ankle on a false start for his 40 time, then completed the 40 time, and then went out and did like the other passing drills that he had to do in order to, I guess, be seen, be noticed, whatever it is that you got to try to do in the NFL Combine. goes back to his hotel room after that, takes off his sock, and that's what he saw. That right there is what he saw. Something's got to be said about the toughness of one continuing to do what you've got to do through that injury right there, because you know the second you tell people, like, I'm injured at the NFL Combine, your draft stock plummets. But also, how many people are going to be able to actually continue and do the stuff that Gunnar Helm was able to do just to get a chance at, like, the NFL, right? Like, Tommy's saying that looks like it hurts. That's a cankle. That's not an ankle anymore. I mean, like, I agree, man. That thing looks god awful. Like, it really does. And, like, I know, you know, football players, professional football players, college football players, whatever, you got to be tough in order to do that. But I just think to myself, man, that seems like a dumb decision. And the funnier thing is, I guess not funnier thing, but I guess the commendable thing is that he's still going to participate. He's still going to participate in his pro day at the University of Texas. I think that's like in a week. I think I'm drafting him just because he wants to be there. Like, he's showing me he wants to be there. I don't know if he's going to be great or anything, but Jesus, man, if the dude's able to go through that and still continue, like that was one of the first things that happened to him on Combine Day for tight ends, was that injury. And I know it's probably going to be impacted and exacerbated, because, you know, he did more, right? Like, it wasn't just I rolled the ankle is what it looks like. He rolled the ankle and he continued doing all the stuff that he had to do with the Combine to try to prove himself that he's good enough to be in the NFL. But I also think on the other side, you're going to have a lot of guys that are going to see that, and they're going to say to themselves, holy hell, I am not going to risk it. I am not going to, like, would you, right? Like what happens if that happens to you at the NFL Combine and you don't have Gunnar's, I guess, mental toughness or mental strength or anything of that nature, right? What happens to you? Because now that's going to be the standard. That's what all these teams are going to hold you to. Is it doesn't matter. Gunnar had himself a high ankle sprain. Look what he was able to do. He finished his Combine. He did this and that. You're hurt. Too bad. Now you're not mentally tough like Gunnar is. So now we're dropping you down in draft stock, right? I feel like it's going to be something. We've already had issues with players not working out at the Combine. I think that's going to expedite the process of, we're not going to have any players working out at the Combine, at least not the big name players that we want to see. Tommy Canazzo saying he definitely shows some toughness. Too bad it's probably going to cost him draft positioning, hurting his ankle like that about 7 weeks before the draft. And that's the thing, right? We know in the NFL, if you have a history of ankle issues, especially at the tight end position, you've got to be able to plant, you got to be able to block, to chip, to do all the stuff that you've got to do. And I just don't know if, you know, is it going to be something that he's going to be able to get over, especially if he's going to be like, look, I'm doing this again next week. I feel like all that does, if he's genuinely going to participate in the University of Texas Pro Day, that could lead to an even worse injury. So if I'm his team, I'm like, look, dude, you've got nothing to prove. You already proved you've got to be the toughest SOB in the draft. Hang out, just do your thing, let it get better. Because if he winds up making it worse at his pro day, the chance of him not even being drafted increases. Like right now, it's all about preservation. You've already shown what you can do. You've shown to all of us that you're tough. Now go into self-preservation mode and just don't overdo it, because we all know, right? Like how many times have we seen sports where it's like one guy's hurt, comes back and just gets hurt worse? Oh, yeah. No, I agree, too. I hope he gets drafted by Dallas, but like 5th round-ish, right? Like that's kind of where I want. Don't spend like a top 2 pick on him. Maybe a 3rd round. A great name, too. Gunnar Helm. Helm the guns, boys. What a great name. Tommy's saying he has an awesome name, though. I'd probably draft him just because his name is Gunnar Helm. Tommy, that's why you and I are not GMs. Gary Bryant saying they have to do these types of evaluations at the combine. For some guys, film does not show anything based on competition. Pro days would be the alternative to the combine. And then Tommy's saying a cowboy named Gunnar. And I get it. Like, obviously, like, you need to see agility and stuff like that. But for me, when are you ever going to have an offensive lineman sprint 40 yards down the field in his underwear? You know what I mean? Like, defensive line, I can see it. Offensive line, if it's, maybe the end of the game, like a Hail Mary or something like that. But like, again, they normally don't go 40 yards at a time. Like, it's just a weird thing for me. I feel like if you do position specific stuff at the combine, it would make sense, right? Show me your blocking for an offensive lineman. Show me like this and that and blah, 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 blah. An offensive lineman doing a shuttle cone, like it's not, it doesn't seem like it works for me. That's a no from me, dog. How old is that reference, man? I wonder how many people out there could actually get that. That's a no from me, dog. And Tommy's right. A cowboy named Gunnar. Oh, man. But I feel like Philadelphia is probably going to do what they did the last time. There was a really awesome tight end that was going to go to the Dallas Cowboys, and they'll draft him right ahead of the Dallas Cowboys, like what they did with Dallas Goedert. Can you imagine Dallas Goedert playing in Dallas for the Dallas Cowboys? It would have just been perfect. It would have been perfect. Tommy Canon's saying they needed to do away with the 40-yard dash. NFL players don't even run 40 straight yards in line without pads. I think that's my issue too, right? Is like there's no pads. There's no nothing. Maybe a wide receiver, maybe a running back, right? But if I'm that, like, I'm just going off the passing drills. You have like the running back run a wheel route and go down the sideline and let's see if you can catch the damn ball. But if all you're doing is just running 40 yards, it's 40 yards. If you have 40 yards of just pure real estate in front of you, then that means something bad has happened and you are going to be the beneficiary of it. They're probably not going to catch you because you're fast. Right? Like that's just the way it goes. But anyway, I'm just some guy. What do I know about this stuff? And you got guys like Daniel Jones who have no idea how to run. There you go. You can see real speed on tape. Real hoopers know. Real ballers know. I can tell you I'm fast because I can look at that boy and say, man, that boy's fast. You can tell he's fast because he's fast. I'm with you on that, Tommy. Like it's the Wonderlic test, like all that stuff. Remember, this is the same thing that made Tom Brady fall to a 6th-round draft pick. Tom fucking Brady becoming a 6th-round draft pick. Sorry, Roku. Those 40 times for linemen are not needed. The shuttle cone drill is agility and flexibility for the linemen. It's all projections. The end of the year All-Star game should weigh more for the guys. I think that too, right? Like whenever it should all be weighed on like bowl games, All-Star, like that All-Star game. I can actually see, you can see someone's draft stock rise in that game. The same thing with like the Senior Bowl and stuff like that, right? Like those games need to have the scouts there so that you can see in real time. Now you have the best of the best together doing their thing, right? The one for me where I'll say, okay, maybe this combine works is like the NBA combine, where they have, how high you can jump. Why do we need to see how high an offensive lineman can jump? When have you ever seen an offensive lineman jump on a football field? Why are we measuring how high an offensive lineman can jump? I know Paella, is that his name, from Oregon, breaks the record this year for like the most reps. I think it was 49 on the bench press. Breaks the record on that. So like awesome for him. That's what you want to see from your offensive lineman. Right? I want to see how damn strong you are. As far as my receiver goes, maybe I'll care a little bit, but I can see if you got muscle on you that it works out, right? But then you got guys that can have a ton of muscle that can do really awesome as a wide receiver like DK Metcalf did, and still somehow, some way just not live up to the expectation Am I a jerk for saying that DK Metcalf hasn't lived up to expectation? Because I really feel like he hasn't. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I've got a higher standard, but has DK Metcalf lived up to his own body? Like, I get that there's not a great quarterback in Seattle, but I mean, Geno's been doing pretty well. He's been throwing like Tyler Lockett in them boys. Tommy Cananza saying, just look at how ESPN has all these nerd stats during games. They can tell you exactly how fast a guy was running down the field. Yeah. Oh man, I think I had mentioned it too. Like whenever you watch the game on Amazon, they have like the StatCast thing. It's like the Madden view of how they do the games. I loved that because you see all the different angles. The one that gets the target to them, that line turns red and stuff like that. That's awesome, right? StatCast stuff like that. I'm about. I just don't think the big name dudes need to go to the combine, right? Like I don't think it's something that benefits them. Their stock can only go down because now you're starting to pick just the smallest of things, right? They viewed the Wonderlic test as antiquated. Yeah, good. Tommy Canassa saying, did you see that Debo was traded to Washington? I did, and I am not happy. I'm just not happy because I feel like he's going to show out now. Like, to me, when Deebo Samuel's on, he's one of the best, right? Like, he's, again, like a guy that can be that Cordero Patterson type role where he can be a receiver, he can line up in the backfield, he can do a whole bunch of things. He fills a bunch of positions for you on the offensive end. He is a Swiss Army knife. And I just don't like the fact that he went to Washington. And now Washington's going to get better. And Washington's already a pretty damn good team. And I think now that you have Debo behind Terry McLaurin, it's where Debo belongs, right? Like Debo's not a number one. You can get targets like a number one now because all the double teams are going to be going over to Terry McLaurin. But man, like Debo's that with Washington's offense, that's going to be a problem. That is going to be a problem for the Dallas Cowboys, and I am not happy about this at all. I am heartbroken. I am despondent. I don't think this is I hate them. I hate that I love them. I feel like they could have traded to get Deebo Samuel. I genuinely feel that way. Why not Dallas? Just flatly, why not? And I know it's going to come down to money and stuff like that. Washington has a ton of money. They're going to be able to pay him. They're going to be able to do those things. But you know what? No, I have to get back to my mindset. Sorry, guys. I'm breaking character here, going back to I want this team to be good. No. I'm glad Dallas didn't get Deebo Samuel because now that means they're the road to 0-17. 0-17, baby. Here we come. The road is paved. It's getting there. Well, what do we agree upon, Tommy? Was it 4-13? Is that what we're saying? That's our high water mark. 4-13. 0-17 to 4-13, baby. That's where we want to live. We're closing down the bar with Augustine. That's Augustine's number one time. Closing time, whenever the lights come on, that's where Augustine really shines. That's where the Dallas Cowboys are right now. It's 1:59 in the morning, and they are getting ready to turn the lights on and kick everyone out. Augustine's looking for a date. That's what the Dallas Cowboys are right now. That's where our 4-13 season is. That's where our 0-17 season is. That's the ugly date we're taking home. I'm not saying it as being offensive to anybody. I'm saying it. I've been that guy. The ugly date that was taken home. I don't feel good about it, but I know who I am. There you go. Debo brings a bully mentality to Washington's offense, and that is terrifying. Washington, again, I don't see them being an NFC championship team. An NFC championship team. I just don't see it. But this is what helps them get there. And the fact that they've got a lot of money, that's going to help them too. They can shore up the offensive line. They can shore up the defense now. Man, it's not looking good for the Cowboys. But you know what? At least we have the Giants. The Giants are still worse than the Dallas Cowboys. So thank you, New York Giants, for being just as dog shit awful as you are. Tommy Canazzo saying, sorry, Tip, back to 13-3. I'm over last year and ready to go all in again. I'm over last year too. That's why I want 0-17. We need draft picks. Just draft it all up. Like whatever we do, I stockpile draft picks. Shout out to the good people over at National Streaming Sports. We are live on Roku. Don't forget that. We're also live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Remember, the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton is brought to you by our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com. That's RevAutoCarCare.com, guys. That's where I go to make sure that my car looks its absolute best. I am going to have to put in that work whenever I get back to El Paso. I drove the Mustang from El Paso all the way up here to Salt Lake City. Would not have been able to do that without my friends over at W Energy, W.GG. Use promo code Tipton Sports to save up to 10%. But Rev Auto Car Care, I drove into Salt Lake City, going through the mountains and stuff like that. It starts raining down, and I'm thinking to myself, that's awesome. I like the rain. And I thought it's going to be different than El Paso, because whenever it rains in El Paso, it just gets your car dirtier, right? I was like, I'm up here in the mountains. It's going to be a clean rain. It's going to wash my car for me. And it didn't. It made it look just like it does in El Paso. Like there was dust all over the place. I wasn't expecting the amount of dust I saw. It was insane because first time being to Salt Lake City, so I'm very ignorant on what it looks like. I drove in at night. It was super dark. I'm looking outside and I see snow on a mountain. So I'm going to have to walk outside and see what it looks like outside of the city. Maybe I imagine there's trees and stuff. I don't imagine just dirt. Right? But my car is covered in dirt right now. So I have to go to RevAutoCarCare.com. I'm going to order my new bundle, and I'm going to make sure that my car looks clean and pristine. I don't like taking my Mustang through like those touchless car washes or anything like that because I have a convertible, and I've seen the windows get pushed in on the back with that cloth. So I have to take care of my car, and I do that with RevAutoCarCare.com. Look at that. That's professional as AF, as the kids would say. Sorry, Tip. Oh, we already went over that one. It was a 5th round pick, while Dallas sent a 4th round pick for Jonathan Mingo. It's getting harder and harder to defend Jerry Jones. And I know I'm one of the rare people that actually defends Jerry Jones. I'm just a 4th round pick to Jonathan Mingo, or for Jonathan Mingo, and Deebo Samuel goes for a 5th round pick. I hate that I love them. I genuinely do. I genuinely do. Tommy Canazzo trolling on me saying it's called Salt Lake City, Tip. What did you expect? I know there's like Salt Lake, but there's trees and like vegetation and stuff, right? Like whenever I lived in North Carolina, it's not like we saw just a bunch of dust blow in whenever hurricanes and stuff like that came in. There's rain. It like cleaned your car. I just don't know. And again, I don't know how close Salt Lake City is to the actual Salt Lake. Maybe, again, my ignorance, right? Like I'm going to go see it. I want to go see it today. I've got something I've got to do in about an hour and 20 minutes. And I'm going to try to make sure during one of the times I'm not doing something that I can go see how far the Salt Lake is from here. And if it's close, then I'll go drive by and see it. If it's not close, then I'm not seeing the Salt Lake. It's a lake. I've seen a lot of lakes in my time. Tommy Canazzo saying that he likes that Jerry Jones is keeping his mouth shut so far this offseason. You know it's going to open. You know it's going to open. Just no more Seymour Johnson, LOL. I mean, whenever I was living at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in beautiful Goldsboro, North Carolina, or surrounded by Morehead City and White Hill, I thought to myself, this is an awesome place to live because my car gets to be clean. It was also, I had a red Civic at the time. Story time. I had a red Civic at the time, and it was the first time in my life that I had seen actual pollen. And I remember it was like windy and like you could hit a tree and like you just see yellow pollen fall down. And I walk outside and my car is covered in pollen. And I see other people like washing their cars. And I look down at the little drainage system that they have, and it's like a river of yellow right? Like not like piss or anything like that. Urine, sorry, Roku. Not like that, but like a bright yellow with like water. And it's just like floating on down. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to die here because pollen is going to kill me. Like it's just going to kill me. It's going to kill me. Seymour Johnson, North Carolina. I miss you. I miss Seymour Johnson. Oh my God, that's so dumb. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to talk about as well, and again, I apologize, I wasn't able to edit the video the way that I normally edit the videos whenever I do these shows, but I wanted to talk about this guy.
Strike three called. Caught the outside corner, and like we were told he was going to do, he jumps up in the air and does the splits nearly. Again, to look to second, to pitch, swing, and a miss with a pitch in the dirt. And there's the jump and the splits by Jan again after his second strikeout in the inning. There they go, pitch. Strike three called. It caught the outside corner, and now the hitter is going to challenge. Mitchell thought that was ball four. Let's see if he might win this challenge. And it's a strike. That's strike three. And Jan strikes out the side. Well done for Jeffrey Jan.
There you go, Jeffrey Jan. One, love the name. Two, love that from a pitcher. Just letting you know, right? Because I think that's going to be the thing that helps save baseball. Baseball is boring. Like, genuinely it is. Like, I love me some baseball. I hate watching it on TV. I love whenever you see a guy pimp a home run and he just kind of watches it, stares it down, takes that long trot, tosses the bat, throws it, hits a bad boy, goes into the stands and beats the hell out of somebody. I don't like that. I'm just joking, right? But I love whenever you see that, when someone just pimps a home run. Gone, right? Why not? Fernando Rodney used to do it. Whenever he would go, he would throw, he'd get a strike, he would do the arrow thing, right? Whenever he would close the game. Why not? Why not have this? This is fun. I love this stuff. Also saying splits in baseball pants, not a good idea. Bye-bye hammies. Oh man. That's what you can tell. Like, he's not really doing a full split. He's stretching. That's all he's doing. He's stretching. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if you try to do a full split in it, how many times have we seen a first baseman? And it's just down on the boys, right? A split in baseball pants. Never, ever a good idea. Sorry, y'all had to reply to a message. But nonetheless, right? Like, I love that because it brings personality back into baseball. It brings a ton of personality into baseball. And I think that's what baseball needs. You have to be able to market guys. Now, I don't know if this dude's going to be good. He had like a 5 ERA in Japan last year, so it's not like he's going to be that great. But anytime he comes into the game, you're going to be like, okay, I want to watch this guy, right? Who's the guy? Was it the Mad Hungarian? Like, he would come in and he would like get all angry and like punch his glove and like do all that stuff as a closer, and he's like doing all the weird things, right? You need personalities like that. Baseball doesn't have that anymore, even down to like the batting stances. And I know, like, again, I sound so damn old, but like everyone has that basic generic Fred McGriff style batting stance where it's like, oh, you know, I'm good to go. I've got everything working, and we go and we follow through and everything is perfect. Yay. You don't have like the Barry Bonds bat wiggle. You don't have like the Ken Griffey Jr. real high up. You don't have any of that anymore. Like, it's just all super generic stuff. And like, I feel like that helped. At least I know I'm not the only one, right? Like, where we were practicing other people's batting stances. How many times did someone try to hit a ball trying to beat Jeff Bagwell, right? Like, super low to the ground, right? Like, trying to do that nonsense, or the Mo Vaughn, right? Like, it's just, man. Baseball has a personality problem. It doesn't have like the game is going to be the game, right? Like, I don't think you need to make a ton of changes to the game, but why not highlight and amplify the personalities that are in baseball right now? Tommy Canassa saying the pants saved his happy nuts. LOL. That mound would have done some damage to the jewels. Oh man, could you imagine if he lands on the rubber? Oh, whew. I got hurt just thinking about that. But yeah, no, the clay on the mound, all of it. But again, it's fun. I'm here for it. I want to see more like that. You can tell that guy, he's playing a game, and he realizes he's playing a game and how lucky he is that he gets to play a game. Speaking of games, I want to give a shout out to my guy, Danny Hoban, who today is going to be in Phoenix covering spring training for us over here at Tipton Sports Broadcasting Network. Was able to get him a credential to go cover them. And then, of course, tomorrow through Thursday, in Tucson, where he currently lives right now, Danny is going to be covering for us the World Baseball Classic. He's going to be sending videos, pictures, things like that. We'll be posting those up on the social media, so look out for the things that he's going to be doing. Danny getting back on the diamond where he belongs. For those that don't remember, Danny Hoban was a 29th round draft pick of the Texas Rangers. That's higher than we've been drafted, fellas. So there you go. That's the money round. That's where you make all your money, is a 29th round of the baseball draft. So Danny loves himself some baseball. He's going to be covering spring training and the Arizona Diamondbacks, and of course the qualifiers now for the World Baseball Classic that's happening in Tucson. How lucky is Tucson to be able to get that? I can't understand why El Paso isn't one of the places for World Baseball Classic venues, or at least the qualifiers, right? Is it because there's already an existing AAA team? I've got to try to figure all that out, man. Tommy Cananza saying, get me a credential to cover the Cowboys training camp tip. I'll ask Jerry the questions reporters are scared to ask. When was the last time you visited a glory hole? I'm going to get canceled one day. I genuinely am. I've really got to get control of the problem of it just comes to mind and it comes out, right? There has to be a filter. Maybe I'm 41. I am who I am. Why do I care? It's going to happen. If it happens, it happens. I'm good with it. Okay, Tommy. So this is the thing, man. I've been trying. This whole thing stemmed from, me going out and getting media credentials, me going to cover the 49ers and the Cardinals in Mexico City, right? Me going to the NFL draft. All of this came out of the Dallas Cowboys didn't give me a media credential. And they're like, well, your organization isn't big enough. I was like, well, I'm sorry. And the last thing a man wants to hear is that size isn't big enough. And it hit me in the happy nuts, guys. I was like, oh my God, how could you tell me that my platform isn't big enough? Meanwhile, there's dudes that have somehow smaller platforms than this. And I said to myself, okay, I got to build the brand. We've got to do it. So you give me a challenge, I accept the challenge, right? The former radio station that I was at before I went to ESPN told me, where are you going to go? Didn't want to pay me $1,000 a month. Think about that. I was willing to do a full-time job for $12,000 because of how much I loved just being on radio. And they said that was too expensive. That's so funny to me, still is. So I go to ESPN, right? You give me a challenge, I accept the challenge. The same thing, right? Covering Major League Baseball, getting to work with the Texas Rangers, getting to work with a bunch of other stuff out there that allows me to do the stuff that I'm doing. The Dallas Cowboys have told me repeatedly that I haven't got a platform big enough for them. So maybe this is the year, Tommy. Maybe I just I don't even do it as me. I'm just Tommy Cananta, get him qualified to be in it. When was the last time you circumcised a mosquito? The questions for Jerry Jones are just getting weirder and weirder. Size doesn't matter, Tip. Jerry should know by now from what I've heard. Well, I mean, we saw what it was like to be all in for Jerry Jones. And thank you, Tommy. It's not about the size of your platform. It's about the dedication of your platform. And I would say I've got me a pretty damn dedicated group of people that get to support this show, that have supported this show for quite some time. So Tommy, thank you. Gary, thank you. I know you're new. Gary probably left because he's like, I'm not listening to that guy with his handheld microphone talking into the thing. We're about to do a little ASMR. I don't blame him. I don't like the way I sound right now. I wanted to end the show 20 minutes ago, but I powered through and I got to where I am right now. And we're going to go ahead and continue. Guys, I'm going to more than likely do this show like this tomorrow. I might just do it in my car. Who knows? My car's got better soundproofing than this room does. Maybe I just put up like some blankets around me. That's how we do the show from now on. Super echoey room. Tommy Canazza saying a fun fact. Jerry was talking about his own circumcision when he was talking about mosquitoes. What? Okay, I'm going to have to look that up. That might be a sounder that we use to start the show tomorrow. Not making any promises, but that might be a sounder we use to start the show tomorrow. All right, y'all. Thank you for dealing with the nonsense. Thank you for dealing with the sound and all those things. I appreciate the love and support. Thank you all for being a part of the show. Shout out to our friends over at National Streaming Sports with Roku. They had an awesome show yesterday. Make sure you downloaded Roku. Make sure you've downloaded National Streaming Sports. And I'm off to go see Jerry Jones talk about his circumcision and mosquitoes. I hope you all have a great day. It's probably going to be better than mine. I hope there's video. We'll see y'all later.